Every clean room has challenges. Where do you turn for answers? Real questions from real professionals. Expert insights you can trust. All answered Inside the Cleanroom, presented by Contec Cleanroom.
Hello, my name is Christina Adkison. Thank you for joining us for Inside the Cleanroom, where we bring answers to your questions that have come in through webinars and through our website, and we bring in experts to answer them for you. So today I'm here with Patricia Igneczi, who's part of our technical services group. Thanks for joining us, Patricia.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So one of the questions we get all the time is, where does this contamination come from that comes into my clean room? And as we all know, people are the biggest source of contamination in a clean room. So today I wanted to focus more on how people can transfer some of this contamination into a clean room through some of their material transfer processes. So my first question is, why are people often the biggest source of contamination during manual material transfer?
Yeah, so of course you said it, right? People themselves are such a large of contamination that's coming into the clean room. But oftentimes when we're talking transfer, we're thinking that, of course, the materials themselves must be the source of the contamination. But when we're talking manual material transfer, the people are the ones that are doing that transfer activity. And so the person's behaviors, the ways that they are doing that transfer process, the way that they are, disinfecting or unwrapping the item, those very activities could be something that's actually contributing more contamination, or at least not preventing it as it's going through the clean room. So it's kind of one of those strange ones where they should be doing something to reduce the contamination. But if they are not, performing the activity the way that it's intended, they could actually be allowing contamination to gain entry to the clean room instead of preventing it.
Yeah, so I know you've worked firsthand inside a clean room, and then as you came over to Contec, you've gone to different facilities and seen, different processes at different locations. So what would you say is the most common material transfer challenge that you see in clean rooms, and how can operators avoid them?
So material transfer, again, primarily like that manual material transfer, right? It is a labor intensive, it is a time intensive process. There's often, a lot of materials that have to go in. And so that can be a challenge in and of itself. There's oftentimes not a lot of time or personnel allocated for that process because, let's be honest, that's not where the money is made. The money is not made while people, disinfect or unwrap packages getting into the clean room. So one of the biggest challenges is just the time and effort it takes to get materials in. And that just kind of leads to, people feel rushed. So they're maybe not spending the time and attention that it takes to effectively disinfect, or again, do the unwrapping of packaging appropriately to leave the contaminants kind of where they are rather than allowing them to, go to that next stage into the clean room. One of the phrases that, you'll hear a lot of times in clean rooms is that spray and pray method. That is something that we see a lot of times in material transfer. Again, when you've got, a whole pile of materials that you're bringing in, you might think, I'm gonna spray these all off really quick, set them onto this, this cart, this table, this shelf, and I'm gonna, go about my day, do what I need to do. But if operators aren't getting that disinfectant onto all of the surfaces of that packaging, if they are not doing a mechanical action to remove any contaminants, there's contaminants that are staying on that packaging. And again, now it's just going to be permitted to gain entry into that clean room. It's going to get into that next critical space. So that's really kind of a big challenge. So it's high volume of materials, people feeling rushed, maybe not taking the time to do the correct thing. Another one of those challenges is just the type of materials going in. Sometimes these are really challenging materials. Not everything that goes into a clean room is going to just be this perfectly square box that's really easy to wipe off. Sometimes there's, strange little folds and crevices in packaging that you really have to make sure that you are paying attention to. Or they're very large, bulky, unwieldy items that it's, kind of difficult to make sure that you are able to get, up and around and, get all of those surfaces disinfected. So truly, when you're looking at manual material transfer, every different item is a different challenge. And so it's really important that, you kind of take the time. And again, there's often not enough time for these support tasks. You take the time to really assess it and look at really what needs to be done in a very detailed manner.
So this is a great segue into our next question, because I know we've talked in previous episodes about the importance of training and making sure there's different ways to train people within a facility, because everyone learns differently. So what should a strong material transfer training program include beyond just the written cleanroom cleaning procedure?
Oh man. Well, let's start with just reading the procedure is not enough, right? I think we've definitely driven that one home. But of course, having a well-written procedure is very, very important, not just so that you can, hand it off to an auditor or a regulator to say, yes, look, we do have an established procedure for this. But making sure that, you do have a very strong hands-on training process for individuals. And again, not just a, can you wipe this very standard item, allowing those operators to see the variety of materials that they may be experiencing in the clean room. And when you talk about, oh, it's just wiping, it's just disinfecting, it may seem like such a simple task, but really having that, the ability for your operators to demonstrate competency, to be under observation and be able to point out, hey, look, on this item, this is an area that is particularly challenging. So you're going to need to spend a little extra time. That's really important. Also looking at making sure that your operators understand the importance of wet contact time, right? So I've spent a lot of time talking about the challenges of making sure that you are adequately getting to all the surfaces on an item. But that's just part one, right? If I've applied disinfectant to every single possible surface on a material that I'm transferring, that's great. But if that disinfectant does not stay in wet contact for the duration of that disinfectant's, wet contact time, then that's not going to be effective either. So really making sure that your operators understand, what wet contact time is, importance of it. So going into the why. So it's kind of, the two sides of it. Read the procedure, help your operators understand why these things are important, and then let them get their hands on and walk them through it so they truly understand why their actions matter.
That's so important. And when you were talking about wiping and disinfecting, when transferring materials into a clean room, how should operators think about wiping, disinfecting, and even residue control, which we know can be a big issue within clean room facilities?
Yeah. So, truly material transfer is no different than any other surface in a clean room. It's easy to think that, oh, it's just a material, right? It's just a material that's going to go in, we're going to use it, and then it's going to get thrown out. So it can't be that critical. But it can allow contamination to gain entry into the clean room. So the wiping techniques, the wet contact time is just as important on these materials as it is for the rest of those clean room surfaces. So it's super important for operators to understand that those proper wiping techniques, the proper clean room behaviors, that doesn't stop just because you are doing material transfer, right? So you want to make sure that you are doing those overlap strokes. You need to make sure that every surface of that material or fixture or equipment, whatever it is that you're transferring in, you need to make sure that disinfectant is contacting every surface. So that's going to be, methodical overlapping strokes. Talking about residue, right? So sure, the material that's going in, right? If we're just talking materials, we'll kind of, maybe for a moment ignore those, fixtures or equipment that are going in, but purely materials, right? They're going to go in, we're going to use them, and they're going to get tossed. So who cares about residue? What we do need to care about is kind of let's say I'm spraying, disinfectant onto a dry wipe. I do need to be cognizant of maybe some overspray. What if that's getting onto my clean room surfaces, right? And that could be residue. Or maybe the spray is getting onto the floor and creating maybe a slippery surface. So again, all of those general clean room concepts are still important here, and operators need to keep those in the back of their minds.
That's all such valuable information. People are bringing so many materials into the clean room, so every step you can take to ensure that contamination is kept to at least a minimum, ideally non-existent, is obviously ideal and best practices. Thank you so much for joining us today, Patricia. We really appreciate you answering these questions, especially around this important topic for material transfer.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us. This is it for this episode of Inside the Clean Room. We hope you found this information helpful and can bring it back inside your clean room.